What's going on, Falcon Fan? It's your boy Ricondo coming back at you with another video. Yes, we're going to talk some little Falcon football today. Talk about what we learned from the NFL Combine over the weekend. Also going to get into the new league year, what that entails. Then we're going to talk about the off season with Atlanta Falcons, some of the things that they got to do. So, guys, with that being said, if you have not already, go ahead and please subscribe to the channel. Please hit the notification bell so you know I drop another video. Please hit the like button, as I know you guys out here to talk about. Then please share my video throughout the YouTube universe so more people can come in here and talk about. That's right, these Atlanta Falcons. So let's get right into the NFL Combine. So the 2025 NFL Combine is now over. One interesting thing about the Combine as of late, a lot of the top prospects do not participate in the NFL Combine. They like to wait to their pro days and things like that. It's just the way it is. It's so much scouting going on. NFL Combine is not really the end all be all anymore. You look at some of the top quarterbacks last year, this year. A lot of the quarterbacks don't participate, but it was notable. Some other guys like Mason Graham, another guy that didn't participate. We heard about Abdul Carter as well with his foot, but he decided not to have surgery. So it's just interesting. A lot of guys want to go in their meetings and things like that, and then at the end of the day, have their pro days. So they'll be in an environment where they're comfortable with, where they can perform their best. That's what it's turning into as of late. But a lot of people try to make it to be about the quarterbacks not participating, but it was a lot of other guys that did not participate, in other positions as well. So it's just a different thing. This is the what's going on, T Terry. This is the augment of NIL, right? We heard Terry Fontenot talk about you try to figure out why dude transfer. It's not that they had a bad experience or something like that. It was that they was going for the money. They were going for more playing time, whatever. It's so many factors that you have to factor in now when you're trying to look at these young guys and coming out of college to try to figure out their mindset, their makeup, and things like that. If they're going to be right for your football team, because most of the time now you rarely get a guy that stays 4 years at a particular college. So that's just the way it is, so that's just the new football era. Like I said, NIL, a lot of these guys are already making millions of dollars in some cases, with all their endorsement deals and things like that. So you got to find out. And the most important thing I think Terry mentioned was, do they love the game, right? Do you love the game? Because if you love the game, all the other stuff, it got to match the tape, right? It's all about can they play football, but at the end of the day, do they love the game? Because if they don't love the game, it'll be one of those investments that you probably will not like, right? So some of the bigger takeaway from me, of course, we know the Atlanta Falcons took only defensive coaches and scouts to the NFL Combine to actually interview, get the guys there. They had 45 interviews, and they were just particularly talking to defensive guys. So that was interesting. That was something that was different. I talked about that on my last show, where I believe that when you think about going against what Terry Fontenot philosophy is, going best player available, going only defense, in my opinion, you kind of going to miss some great players if you do that. Understanding that the biggest need is on defense and you're trying to fix the defense, but you still want to get good football players. That's his words, not mine. So, when you stack your board, you're not just going to stack all your best defensive players. You're going to stack your offensive players as well. So I don't think just because they only brought defensive players to the NFL Combine that they're not going to even look in the offensive player direction. So I just wanted to say that this is just the beginning of this whole process. They have about a whole nother month, almost almost a month and a half, pretty much, to kind of figure out, what direction they're going to go with that number 15 pick. So, you know, the combine is all about getting the medicals, learning a little bit more things that they might then know about some of these players, and get a better idea where they want to stack them at. So that's one of the things noted. Another thing that was noted was that how deep the running back class is in this NFL draft. It is really deep, right? So, the story came up about, we got McClellan there from Alabama from last year that we drafted. We got, our power horse right out there as well, right? Tyler Algier. We got him. So, if the Falcons was considered like trading somebody like Tyler Algier, you can go actually and find another running back. I know that's not something that they're considering, but I'm just putting it out there because this running back class is really deep. And they say the NFL goes in waves and things like that. But if you look at what Derrick Henry, Bijan Robinson, and Saquon Barkley was able to do this year, a lot of teams trying to go back and trying to be able to run the ball. So the running back position could be coming back. And looking at this draft class, some teams going to get really good quality running backs in later rounds. It's going to be some guys going the first round. The running back out of North Carolina. Of course, Austin Genty probably going that first round. What's going on, 330? But I'm telling you right now, when you're thinking about it, it's a lot of good running backs. I mean, when I was looking at the combine, it's like all these guys ran like 4.4 something. So they're fast and they big, right? They was not small running backs. These guys weigh like 220, 225, and they running 4.4. So I like the running back class. However, it's not something that the Atlanta Falcons going to be looking at. I understand that, but just something that I noticed looking at this group of running backs that I say, wow, it's hard to pay, top running back now when you got running backs like this coming out of this class. So I understand, when you have that much commodity out there, it's going to be hard to try to get paid. So that was one thing that really that I noticed a lot about this NFL draft was how deep the running back class was. Now the whole idea is when some guys actually come to the combine, they either lower their stock or they start to get question marks, right? I don't believe if you don't participate in the combine, you lower your stock, right? I heard that a lot about like some guys that didn't participate, especially look at a guy like Shadur Sanders. Everybody's upset, but like I said, last year, the number 1 and number 2 quarterback off the board last year did not participate in the combine. So it's not anything new when you think about people not participate. So if you don't participate in the combine, you can't hurt your stock, right? They have to go out the interviews that you got with the teams, and then they're gonna look at your tape, right? They're gonna do the medicals, right? That's where they're gonna go based on the combine. So if you didn't work out, you cannot get knocked for that, right? But it is some guys that went and actually had really, really good days that raised their stock, and you like to see it, right? Because if it was question mark by some of these guys, and some of these guys just was confirmation, right? Look at what wide receiver Matthew Goldman was able to do. Ran a 4.29, just amazing, right? Of course, now he's looked at putting his tape out there, looking at how fast he is. If it looks like he run that speed, on film, somebody gonna like him. So I think he definitely was able to raise his stock as well. Landon Jackson, edge out of Arkansas, right? Some people had him like in the top 50, but some people believe it now because what he was able to do at the combine, raise his stock, might put him in the first round. So, that could be a potential target for the Atlanta Falcons if they depend on moving back. So a guy like Landon Jackson is definitely somebody who was able to raise his stock. Maxwell Harrison, if you guys remember, my first mock draft that I already did, I had Maxwell Harrison going in the second round to the Atlanta Falcons, right? A guy that I felt fit really well in the Atlanta Falcons scheme. And he actually went out and showed off. He ran really, really fast. He ran a 4.28. 4.28, guys. So he the speed. Now he was a little injured at Kentucky, last year, so he wasn't able to show all that stuff. But this is a guy I think now put himself really, really high, you know, based off the film, based off, what he was able to do at the combine, kind of matches up. That's what you like to see. So I believe Maxwell Hurston really makes some money. Also, cornerback Jade Barron, um, he actually tested really well as well. He ran a 4.39 in the 40, but his skill, his IQ, his physicality showed up on tape for the Texas Longhorns. So, you know, these guys, and I'm talking about defensive guys now because potentially where the Falcons could go, not particularly at number 15, but in the draft. If these guys, if the Atlanta Falcons decide to move back in the draft, yes, that'll be great. They can get some of these guys. Safety Nick Mamari, he had an excellent day. Um, you like to see that his size, his mix is going to be really good. I think the number one safety in this draft, though, is probably Malachi Starks from the Georgia Bulldogs. He didn't hurt his stock. He was already going to be rated high as well, so he actually had a pretty good day. So Malachi Starks is definitely a guy that you're going to look at. I think the guy that stole the show for us though was Shamar Stewart, right? Of course, right? This guy almost scored a perfect on the athletic score, 99.99. So this what everybody thought he was gonna show. You remember a couple of years ago, we had a young man out of Georgia that tested out his mind and got the number one pick. So definitely, I think Shamar Stewart really helped his stock very well. Lost pounds. I think when they had him at like 290 when he was in, playing college football at Texas A&M. Now they got him at like 267, so he lost a lot of weight. But I mean, he just was ridiculous. His broad jump, his vert, his 40 time, everything. He just tested out of the yin yang. Now the production on the field does not translate to that. Just like I said, the young man from Georgia, right? You look at the production, you have to see. Now you got to look at the film and see some of the things that they was asked to do at Texas A&M. Why he didn't have the production to match the athletic ability that he was able to show, right? So that's some of the things you got to look at. But definitely, he was the talk of the town the way he tested out the yin yang. So definitely. If he wasn't on the Falcons radar, I definitely think he is right now on the Falcon radar. Of course, we had corporate linebackers that really, really shown out as well. So I like, some of the position groups that Atlanta Falcons potentially had to look at, from the defensive tackle positions, from the linebacker positions, to cornerbacks, to safeties. All the positions is a position of need for the Atlanta Falcons. So overall, I think the combine, was a success for a lot of these young men, and it's going to be interesting moving forward how much stock people are going to start putting in the combine, right? A guy like Will Howard, people say he didn't go out and he didn't perform at well at the combine, but guy just won the national championship, right? So, got Cam Newton came out, said he had a terrible day at the combine, but he went number one overall. So combine is not the end all be all. I do believe that it does help some people's stock. Like I said, if you go out and test really well and it confirms some stuff for some people, right? Because sometimes you look at play speed and then straight line speed, right? Some of that's not the same, right? So I think some guys rank 40s probably slower than they play because they don't have a football in their hand. They ain't got nobody chasing them. So you have to look at the tape. It always comes back down to the tape. I know that's so cliche for people to say, but in the end of the day, that's where it boils down to. It always boils down to the tape. So, but guys, overall, we already talked about what we heard from our head coach and our general manager. We got an idea where their mindset is. It's defense, defense, defense. You gotta like that. So it's going to be interesting to see what direction the Atlanta Falcons decide to go. The question is, will the Atlanta Falcons decide to move back in the draft? I don't anticipate them moving up in the draft unless, somebody like a Dual Carter was to drop, because of their foot issue. He dropped to like 10. And, yeah, I would move up to get him because the guy potentially could be like a generational talent for Atlanta Falcons for a need that they haven't had in forever. So that would be something, the reason why to move up. But if anything, the Atlanta Falcons probably move back more than likely if they find a trade partner, right? You have to have somebody to dance, of course, and the way this draft is shaping out, a lot of people feel like a lot of the best players can be had in later, in day 2 picks, right? So why would teams come up and sell the farm where they feel like they can just stay put and get a quality guy, at the number they're at? So you have to have 2 to play, but we'll just have to see how it pans out, where the Atlanta Falcons might have to stay put and pick the best player available at number 15. And hopefully, for this first time in 5 years, the Atlanta Falcons pick a defensive player instead of offensive guy. We would just have to see. You said, who did I like out of the running backs? Man, it was so many guys, man. Of course, Genty didn't run. Another guy didn't run. Big guy. I can't think of his name. I'm sorry about that. I have to go back and look exactly because I was just looking at them. I know Atlanta Falcons wasn't going to pick a running back, so I didn't really, get their names, but I was really impressed from what I seen from the running backs overall. Not just one particular guy, but overall, I really like what I seen from the running back position. So that's what I felt about the running backs. All right, let's get into the next topic. The new league year for our Atlanta Falcons. So, it's already reported that the cap went up almost $23.8 million to $279 million this year. So really good for Atlanta Falcons. It was higher than it was estimated. So Atlanta Falcons got about $5 million that they do have to get under the cap before the new league year, which is March 12th. So they have so many avenues to do this. This $5 million is really not a whole lot. They could get up under that number really easy. So that is not going to be an issue for the Atlanta Falcons going into the new league year. But they do have decisions to make. One in particular, one position in particular, and of course, that's whether they're going to do with Kirk Cousins, because that new league year, if he's still on the roster, he get paid $10 million for 2026, right? So it's guaranteed money going to his 2026 contract, which would equal that $100 million guaranteed total. So that's something that they will have to decide. Now you ask, well, $10 million probably ain't nothing to Atlanta Falcons, but it could be, right? Because Atlanta Falcons got a lot of other decisions to make with other players. So, even though that won't affect the 2025 year, going into 2026, it definitely could, because guys are coming up on contracts, guys like Drake London. So you got to start to factor that in and start to look at, if they're going to decide what they're going to decide to do with Kirk Cousins. They could still trade him, after the new league year, so that's not a big deal. When they decide to call Kirk Cousins bluff and teams bluff and let teams know they're willing to keep him, they could eat that $10 million for next year, even because knowing that the salary cap is going to even go up even higher next year. So that's one way to look at it. But the new league year is important. You already seen guys franchising players. I just hate the fact that the Cincinnati Bengals franchise T. Higgins again. That just sucks, man. Even though he's going to get paid $26 million, but he don't have a long-term contract there, playing on one-year deals. That's selfish, man. I just feel like they don't want to pay that man. What's going on with Millie Mills? So, the new league year is going to be big. It's right around the corner, guys. Matter of fact, on the 10th, you can start the tampering period, right? They can start I guess they call it negotiate. They don't want to call it tampering. They want to call it negotiation period. So you can start negotiate with guys, free agents, and things like that. The big deal for Atlanta Falcons is what they're going to do with their own free agents that they have, right? And that's going to be the biggest deal when it comes to our Atlanta Falcons, right? The the big question marks out there right now for free agency is Drew Dalman, right? A lot of people saying that he's going to be one of the top centers that's going to be on the market, and he actually might you know, get too much for the Falcons' liking. So if that's the case, the Atlanta Falcons might have to go ahead and move on from Drew Dalman. The report out there, they could be $20 million a year. Yeah, if that's the case, the Falcons not going to pay that, right? Especially when you have Ryan Newsel. I know Ryan Newsel is not quite there with Drew Dalman, but he did play half of the year, and the Atlanta Falcons still was pretty much clicking, so that might be something they have to give up. When you looking at, trying to be able to deal with issues on your defensive side of the ball, it would be really nice to keep that offensive line intact, but you're not going to overpay for Drew Dalman, right? Because he's not no all-pro center, but he's a good center. He is, and you want to see the continuity stay there. But personally, I would not overpay. So when you're looking at our free agents, the number one, the guy that probably going to be looking at is Drew Dalman. So can they get a good deal? Something what they did with Caleb McGarry, and we all felt like that was a fair deal for both sides. So hopefully we can get something like that with Drew Dalman. That would be really good. But newly year is approaching really fast. Atlanta Falcons did not have any franchise guys, so that deadline tomorrow won't affect them. But our free agents that we got now, they got a lot of guys that they could get qualifying offers to. Guys like D. Alford, like I said, Ryan Newsel. You want to bring back some of our rotation linemen like Storm Norton. You definitely want to bring him back. Maybe Kyle Henry. So some guys like that, you want to go ahead and bring those guys back because they'll be cheap, right? And they already know the offensive line room. Try to bring some continuity back. But if you can't get Drew Dalman, we're gonna have to roll with it, because I don't anticipate Atlanta Falcons paying him like a all-pro center. I understand the market, but he's not an all-pro, so don't overpay. Basically, what I'm saying. And sometimes you just get priced out. That's just the way it is. What's going on, Pamela? Kurt Rudd, the Falcons. So we're going to draft big and young players to play the right way. Right away, we're gonna have to, So let's talk about Kirk Cousins real quick before I move on here. We talk about Kirk Cousins, and the whole narrative that the Atlanta Falcons was trying to hide his injury. I really believe that that's not the case. I really believe that Kirk Cousins did not tell the Atlanta Falcons how injured he was, if he was injured, right? Of course, now he wanted to throw it out there that he was injured. Everybody said, well, you can tell he was injured. Could we really tell? I mean, we never seen him grimace. We never seen, anything like that. And the fact that, somebody claimed that, would be the stand-up guy to get in front of the media every week and tell everybody he's fine, even after he got benched, right? He said he was not injured. So, to come out after the fact and say that he was dealing with a shoulder and elbow injury, it's just disingenuous, man. I don't like it, and I don't like the narrative that the Falcons knew it. Like, they did not know it. And maybe they should have known it because he started to play so damn bad, but he lied. He didn't tell I don't even know if he was getting treatment on his elbow or his shoulder, right? Because if he did, I think they would have had him on the injury report. So I just think that, he trying to, and I get it, he's trying to get back to a team and let them know why he played so god awful for 5 games, right? He's trying to make an excuse for it, and I get it. I understand, but every week Kirk Cousins got up there, he said that he was not injured, right? And Atlanta Falcons not trying to get in trouble again about something Kirk Cousins saying. They had him on an injury report. He took himself off that said he was fine. He came out and he said he didn't have any injuries. He got cut. He said he didn't have any injuries. The first time we heard about a shoulder and an elbow was doing the Super Bowl, right? That's the first time we heard about it. And so everybody want to look back at the Falcon organization and say what they should have known. No, they should have known. He saw Michael Penix looking over his shoulder, and he wasn't coming out. That's what it was. And I don't think he notified anybody about his elbow or the shoulder. Terry Fontenot mentioned it. He was not injured. That's what Terry Fontenot said. He was 100% what he said. He was not injured. Raheem Morris was so frustrated about it that he didn't even want to talk about it no more. Right. So I just think that narrative should die. That Kirk Cousins, tried to the Kirk Cousins and Atlanta Falcons tried to hide his injury. That's not true. I think he hid his injury if he was injured. I'm just saying, he had to be injured. Something had we don't know that for sure. We don't know because I don't know if I ever seen him holding his elbow or his shoulder the whole game. Right? Maybe he got nicked up. Maybe he did, right? But I think that's just a bunch of bull, and that could be one reason the Atlanta Falcons move on from Kirk Cousins because of something like that, right? I mean, just the lack of just being transparent. If you was injured, man, you should have said something, and if that would have definitely helped our season, right? We won 2 of our last 8 games. Think about it. We won 2 of our last 8 games, and this guy said he was injured for 5 of them. So I just I don't like that, and I don't like that. So for all intents and purposes, for me, I wouldn't cut him just because of that. I wouldn't cut him. Now I know people say that's going to create awkwardness, but he don't seem like he's the type of person that do that. So that's what I think. Millie Mill says, all I want off season for us to get DJ Reed, sign our own back, and rebuild through the draft. There you go. So Millie Mills, he he's not asking for a lot. Real simple, right? Bring our guys back, get DJ Reed, and then build through the draft. I like it. They feel like these guys that they're bringing back could help. Let's do it. But I believe that Atlanta Falcons need to have turnover in certain positions, not all positions. Certain positions. I think we need a new nickel. I'll just do. And I think we need to bring in pass rush help. So we can't pay Drew Dalvin $17 million. Chicago got lots of money. There you go. That's what I'm saying. Like he might. I mean, we lost 4-year Olakun just like this. If you guys recall, we wanted him, but we couldn't afford what other teams was going to offer him. So if they don't make a deal for Drew Dalman before the new league year start, he might be gone. That's the way it is, right? Unless he just want to be Atlanta Falcon and he make a deal like Caleb McGarry did and come back. So I think we all was really pleased what the Caleb McGarry deal was because it had his number high. He was projected to be paid higher, but the number came in. We was like, wow, Terry cooking. So you love to see something like that. Well, Dalman, see you, homie. Yep, there you go. Exactly. That's the point. That's the point I'm making. I think he might be gone. Did you see that hit Ricondo Kirk took in the Saints game? He got black. Yeah. You talking about by the pass rusher? Yeah, I seen the hit. And to fairness, he was on the injury report that Wednesday. He was on the injury report on that Wednesday. But if you go back and watch the interview on that Thursday, right, his exact word was, that was precautionary. We only did a walkthrough. I'm not verbatim, but we only did a walkthrough, so I'm fine. That's what he said. and then he was taken off the injury report for the rest of the week. So yes, I seen the hit, right? But if he was injured, he should have said something. I know, I get it. If Michael Penix would have came in the game, it was all you wrote. He wasn't coming back out. He wasn't coming back out. So I understand why he did what he did. I just don't like the fact that he waited to the Super Bowl and then started trying to shit on the team. Like, yeah, I was injured, man. You know, and then they didn't want to answer any questions about it. You know, when they asked him at the Super Bowl. So, you know, that's what I don't like about it, because he could have came and asked a question. Yeah, I was injured. I tried to play through it. It's something. Say something, bro. Then to put that out there, then make it seem like the Atlanta Falcons trying to cover up some shit. Like, it's no way that they played this man just because they didn't want to put Michael Penix in because they knew what was going to happen. There's no way, right? They always say, are you injured or are you hurt? Right? It's different. It's a difference. If you hurt, you can play. If you're injured, you need to get out. And if he was injured, he should have came out of the game. Right? That's just the way it was. I got a strange feeling the Falcons told Mike Green, don't work out too much. Don't show nothing. That's a great point. So let's talk about Mike Green, right? So, you know, Atlanta Falcons got this whole thing about the makeup of a player and thing like that. We heard the thing about Jalen Carter. You know, they didn't want to get him because his you know, off the field stuff, issues like that. So Mike Green, right? Of course, he had answered questions about why he left Virginia, and we know it's two incidents that was out there, one in high school, one in college, where, you know, a parent, you know, accused of sexual assault. Right? He was not charged or anything. He denied the whole thing, but it's out there. So now it's up to the Atlanta Falcons and all the teams in the NFL to do their due diligence on Mike Green, right? So that's one of the things that's out there about him. Now, Terry Fontenot one record say he don't want our choir boys, don't want our Boy Scouts. So he's not off their board, right, because of this. But they definitely going to do their homework on it, and find out what kind of young man this is, right? Because he was at Virginia. Now, this is one of the cases where you do the transfer portal and you find out why he left the University of Virginia to go to Marshall, right? And that's one of the things that's out there that he has to answer. That he has to explain the allegations on both of those different instances where it took place. But like I said, he was not charged with anything. He denies it, but it is out there. So one of the things that Atlanta Falcons need to do is definitely do their due diligence, and we know this, right? They got investigators, they got all that. They're gonna find all they need to find out, and for they can feel comfortable. And at the end of the day, it's going to be down to Arthur Blank. Now, I can say this: Arthur Blank was 10 toes down to going to get Deshaun Watson. You guys recall that? So, and we know Deshaun Watson, so what happened to him and all the allegations that he had. So I don't see, you know, Arthur Blank starting to get like such a conscience. If this guy said, you know, he didn't do it and he never got charged, anything like that, and you know, everything panned out to be clean, I would say that Atlanta Falcons should definitely consider Mike Green. But right now, it's just out there. You have to talk about it because it's an investment, guys. You're not gonna bring somebody in with that kind of character if that's the case. So they have to do their due diligence, and they are. So Mike Green might fall to us, the 15, just because of that. I'm just throwing it out there, right? He might fall to because people might be concerned, and I'm pretty sure, you know, to be honest with you, some teams maybe already took him off the board, which is sad, right? Because he was not ever charged with anything, you know, and so now it's more, you know, you're guilty until proven innocent instead of the other way around. So, but that is out there about Mike Green. So it is something to be noted. You talk about him. You said Blank is a mob boss. If he wants to go away, it'll go away. That's true. Look, guys, we got a stranger in the chat. There's a lot of better talent left on the board when the Falcons draft. Remember, all first round picks are guaranteed contracts. Got to be safe. You are, and that's the point I'm making, right? You're not, like I said, you're not going to get choir boys or Boy Scouts. These guys are football players, so you got to be smart about it. But they're going to do their due diligence on Mike Green, and if he turns out to be good, right? Um, Now the crazy thing about it, you know, if you guys remember, what's the kid name that got drafted when he had the mask on, and he started to drop down the board, right? They put a mask on like right before the draft, and his stock started dropping, right? People like what? So somebody tried to set him up. People do that. The players that's got potential to get money and things like that. We remember Matt Araza, right? The punter. You know, he got took it off all the whole draft, right? And now he's back in the league because everything was false allegations. So you have to be careful with that. But these guys got to do their homework, and they got time now to do it early. Like Matt Haraza, it came at the last minute, right? That's why he got screwed. And then the kid, the offensive lineman, it was like doing it right before the draft. He came up with the mask. That was crazy. And he started dropping down the board. He didn't drop too far. I still think he was in the top 10, but he dropped farther than what people thought he was going to drop. So that is definitely something to consider. I thought Sparks from Georgia was told by the Falcons to run the 40 at 4.5 because his real 4.31 have been following him during high school. Malachi Stark, man, I think he's one of the best safeties in the draft. He probably the number one safety in the draft more than likely. But I don't see the Falcons drafting the safety at number 15. Now it depends on what they do in free agency, because they're going defense, right? But they could move down and get another draft pick maybe. But I think guys, we all got to be like thinking at some point in time the Atlanta Falcons are gonna go get a pass rusher, man. But if they don't see one they like, maybe not. So that's where it is. So Aricondo Hope Gary thinks what's going on, Carrie? Say I really like kind of the linebacker Campbell from Alabama. Yes. He actually had a great combine. And I believe that the Atlanta Falcons liked him as well, right? Man, does he have pass rush capability? That's the key, right? But he tested well. Him and Shamar Stewart, both of those guys, was really good at the combine. So, man, I like him a lot. I'm like you. I like him a lot. Maybe if he dropped to the second round, that would be awesome. I don't know if he'll drop that far, but yes, he had a good weekend as well, and I think the Falcons may be hiring him. So I wouldn't be surprised if they was to take him. And that's what we don't know their board right now, so we don't know where they got these guys stock. But yeah, that's going to be interesting. You say you don't see the Falcons drafting Mike Green. Yeah. That's the point I'm making. I don't think they removed him off the board, yet. But you are correct. It's going to be interesting, and it's sad. It's sad to say. So his stock might drop, a little bit because of those. Because it's not one, it's two, right? And then he left University of Virginia because of the second one. So that's where the question starts coming in. It's like, why these females keep coming out saying you assaulted them. So that's interesting. But It's out there. He said Starks has a great quickness, but his top end speed always have killed him. That's why he is safety. That's why he plays safety. He's not, he's not putting that corner, keep him at safety. Campbell is an edge rusher, but can play off ball. That's why I think the Atlanta Falcons could potentially pick him up in the draft. That's why I think the Atlanta Falcons potentially pick him up in the draft. Let's see here. If all the edge players are gone by 15, I think Mason Graham will be there, and I grab him in a heartbeat. Now, if he's gone, then it's either Johnson, Starks, or trade back. So I can tell you right now, Mason Graham will be a top 10 pick. He will not be there at 15. Mason Graham will not be there at 15. And it's going to be some players for the Atlanta Falcons at 15. This is a really good defensive class. So Atlanta Falcons are going to have their guys to pick from at 15. So we should not be concerned at all about Atlanta Falcons getting a good player. Let's just hope they pick the right one, right? They're gonna have their pick at 15 to get a guy. You recall last year, the first defensive player went off the board at 15. Now that will not be the case this year because there's not that many quarterbacks going. But I do see some teams drafting offensive linemen in the top 10. I do see a couple of quarterbacks going in the top 10. I see, a couple of edge rushers, maybe defensive tackle, maybe even a wide receiver, maybe even a tight end going in the top 10. So it's going to be a lot of players for the Atlanta Falcons to pick at 15. That's why a lot of people saying they could move back because it's going to be so many, right? And so they could have their choice. So moving back to maybe in the 20s, pick up a day 2 pick, another day 2 pick would be nice. So, but they will have their choice. But I'm not upset with Will Johnson, Malachi Starks. I agree with either one of those guys. But Mason Graham definitely won't be there at 15. I can promise you that. So we might as well don't even think about him being there because he's too good of a player to actually be there at 15. Carrie says maybe we could trade back in the 20s and take Campbell in the first and then take an edge in the second. Like I agree. That's what I mean. You could double dip, and I think they should double dip. I mean, if they have an opportunity to move back, I talked about this earlier. Now you got to have somebody to trade back with you, but so you need a trade partner, right? So definitely they could trade back to the 20s and pick up a guy like that. They got another day 2 pick, and you guys remember the draft goes after free agency. So Atlanta Falcons filled some holes you suspect in free agency. That's what we hoping, and that kind of helps you kind of give an idea where they would maybe go in the draft, right? Millie Mills, that's who I really like. Mason Graham, yeah, I like Mason Graham too, but he's not gonna be there, guys. I'm happy with the draft class. It's so defensive heavy this season. That's all we need is all defense. Yes, I agree with you. But like I said, do not underestimate the Atlanta Falcons to not pick an offensive player because they will. And be honest with you, if you rank the guys on your board, right, and if it's an offensive player that's ranked way higher than a defensive guy, you got to pick him, right? Because now you're going against what you believe in. So I understand that they only brought defensive guys to the scouting combine, but at the same time, you got to stack your board from the best player to the worst player. You have to. If you're not doing that, you're not building your team right because you want to get the best football players, right? And if looking over guys that are more talented and going down, reaching for guys that's on your board, you're not doing stacking your board right. So I wouldn't be surprised if they pick offensive players, but I do like the idea of their mindset of going defensive totally. So just keep that in mind. Right, the Falcons will still get a Raheem type fit player, no matter where they. Yes, I agree. That I mean, there's so many guys that they can go from. We just don't know who it's gonna be. We just don't know who it's gonna be. Is Genty top 10? He probably go in the top 10. Yeah, Genty is one of those backs that probably goes like a um Saquon, like a Bijan, like a Zeke, right? Those are like a Tart Gurley. Those guys went in the top 10 over the years. Tart Gurley, Bijan Robinson, Ezekiel Elliott, Saquon Barkley. Ashton Genty is probably one of those guys. He could fall out of the top 10, but I doubt it. As long as we get defensive player in the first round, I'll be happy. It's gonna be hard to mess this up. If we get a defensive guy in the first round, you're right. Could they do 5 years in a row offensive player? That'd be crazy, man. I really tell you. GT is going to them boys. He might. They definitely need a running back. They definitely need a running back. Say, is T Mac a top 10? I don't know, man. It depends on, he got top 10 talent, but you have to look at the list of guys. Now the Cowboys needed a receiver to go side Dez Bryant, so maybe they go somebody like T Mac, but he definitely could be, right. So that's a great question about T Mac. Texas always some fast wide receivers. Them Falcons might get one. Yeah. Only problem is with his name. He kind of sold himself short, man. Bun. He came out and said he was going to run faster than Worthy. I mean, he still ran a 4.39. So, I mean, he's not slow, but he didn't do what he said he was going to. He said he ran like 4.2. So, and that did not happen. But still fast, and I agree with you. Still fast, man. Those guys are blazers. So Atlanta Falcons, the crazy part about it, I think Atlanta Falcons is really happy with their offense right now. So it's really going to be interesting to see, if they even get any skill players, man. They're satisfied with where they're at offensively right now. One reason, because what Ray Cloud was able to do, I think he had a career year. Now you can definitely, upgrade that third wide receiver spot. Do not forget Rondale Moore. Even though he is a free agent, they could potentially bring him back. And we know this for a fact. The Atlanta Falcons really wanted a speedster part of this offense. That's why they went and got traded for Rondale Moore in the first place. And then you remember they went and made an offseason deal with the other player, but he got hurt. They really wanted a speedster in this offense. And I do know this, and I know you guys recall Michael Penix Jr. and Rondale Moore had a great rapport in training camp last year. So if he comes back 100%, I would definitely bring him back and give him a 1-year deal, to recoup his career a little bit. So that would be good for a guy like Rondale Moore. And that speed that he has, changes things as well. Like I said, I know that him and Penix had a great rapport last year before he went down to training camp. So don't forget about Rondale Moore. He said this running back class is deep, starters, one punches. I like Omarion. Yep, I'm going to be the best running back of all in this class. Count on it. I'm not arguing with you. You missed earlier, but I said this is a deep running back class, and it's kind of upsetting a little bit because of the number of running backs that's coming out of this class. Like all those guys run like a 4.4, man. It was ridiculous when I'm watching the combine. So I think this is a really good running back class. And all those guys, they wasn't small, they were big backs too. So um, somebody's going to get some good value for some of these running backs coming out. And like I said, for the Atlanta Falcons, I know we got a two-headed monster in Tyler Algier and Bijan Robinson, but if somebody was to, you know, try to take Tyler Algier off our hands, because we probably lose him next year anyway, because we won't be able to pay him and Bijan, right? And we want to go get one of these running backs. I think we can get a running back in later rounds and still have some quality running backs back there. We still got McCullough, right? We still got him, that we drafted last year from Alabama. So Bijan, the man, we all know that we don't want to run him in the ground. I do love our two-headed monster, him and Tyler Algier. So I'm not advocating for Tyler Algier to be traded. Just saying, just throwing it out there. He says, so if those two go in the top 10 along with two quarterbacks, a couple of offensive linemen, deep edge guys, Graham could definitely be there at 15. yeah. I agree with you. But Graham might go in the top 5. That's where he's projected right now. Just listen to what a lot of people are saying, right? And, he didn't perform at the combine. So he, like I said, he didn't lose anything, from his performance at the combine. So we're going to see what he's able to do at his pro day. But, yeah, Graham is projected to go pretty high. I'm not saying I don't want Graham. I'm just saying it's like a dual Carter. Like, those guys are not going to be there. That's all I'm saying. Because the Falcons need a worthy type receiver like in Kansas City. Yes. They just needed somebody to take the top off, because we know Michael Penix can give him the ball. So I agree with you on that. I do agree with you on that. Maybe we can get Kyle Pitts running those seam routes, man, this year. That would be really nice. Yes, sir. That's why the second and third round is going to be wild on running backs. I agree with you 100%. Yeah, it's going to be deep. There's a lot of great running backs out there. I like Jace because he has a hell of a change of pace running back. Yeah, like I said, we got a back. That's why that's the reason why I'm saying, we could somebody throw a good trade at us for Tyler Algier. I don't want to lose him, but we're gonna lose him anyway next year. I'm just telling you guys that. You guys know this because he's a starting quarterback or starting running back type of guy. And I'm gonna throw a team out there that we can trade with. Get a pick for it. That's the Pittsburgh Steelers because Arthur Smith over there. So just throwing it out there. Maybe the Vegas Raiders because Pete Carroll likes to run the ball. Man, Tyler can go if we need get a package his ass for picks. That's that's what I'm saying. I'm not advocating for Tyler to go, but I'm just saying you're right because we're gonna lose him, man. Like this year, Drew Dalman, we probably lose Drew Dalman because we can't afford him, and we're gonna have to replace him. Good thing we got a lot of snaps on snaps with Ryan Newsome because Drew Dalman was hurt, so that's a good thing. So I like that. Let's go to the last topic of the day, guys. And like I said, that's free agency. And the reason I want to talk about this because the main thing is our own free agents, right? The Atlanta Falcons have to make decisions on some of the guys that we played that was on the team last year. I think we had like 23 free agents. I don't want all those guys back. So I'm just going to go out there and say that right now. Don't want all of them back. Matter of fact, on defense, I think that we need about 3 or 4 new starters on defense. That's just the way I feel about it. The Atlanta Falcons was to get 3 or 4 new starters. That would be really good for Atlanta Falcons. So don't want to bring all those guys back. I mean, Richie Grant, I'm sorry. Go out and do good. We thank for your services, but we don't want you back, man. The offer, you bring it back cheap, but I would want a new nickel. I just talked about Maxwell Harrison from Kentucky. We can get him, put him in the role. Now, a guy like Mike Hughes, I would definitely bring a guy like Mike Hughes back. I thought Mike Hughes played well for us last year at number 2 corner spot. Won't be that expensive for us. We can bring him back. We still got Clark Phillips the third. You know, we need depth at the cornerback position, so you got to be smart about who you bring in. But I'm just saying, the Atlanta Falcons need to have 3 or 4 new starters on their defense, right? Preferably another starter at safety, another starter at nickel, um, maybe even at linebacker. Like I said, Troy Anderson cannot stay healthy. And then you replacing Lorenzo Carter as a starter, right? Don't know if you bring back any of the veteran players. I think we just let those guys go. Simmons, just let those guys go. But the Atlanta Falcons going to they're going to look into their own house first, right? They already did all the homework on those guys, so it'll be easy. Technically, they can't start talking to these guys until the 10th. So hopefully we hear something fast, with all these guys and the agents, what these guys decide to do. Now, we go back to 2021, looking at, where the Falcons at with the salary cap, right? They actually made some good signings in 2021, right? With looking at that salary cap. So they do have experience going out to find talented guys, bringing them in on those cheaper deals that can be contributors to the team. The main thing about this team is development, right? We have a lot of young talent that was drafted in these last couple of years that needs to develop and start to play good football. That's where we're at now. And if we don't start to get production from some of these guys that we drafted, this is where Terry Fontenot is a complete failure, right? Your draft class don't start to show till probably like 3 years in anyway. And then some of these guys, this is where we're at. So some of the young talent that Terry Fontenot drafted, especially on the defense side of the ball, needs to start. Guys like Armor Ebiketie, right? He's actually going to his 4th season. So this is his contract year. Zach Harrison's going to a 3rd season. He needs to play well. All these guys we drafted last year going to their 2nd season, we need to see jumps from these guys. We need to see production. That's where it really lies when you start talking about free agency. So we're going to look in-house first, bring back the guys we need to create the depth that we need to have, in certain positions. But the Atlanta Falcons need to have 3 to 4 new starters on defense. It's just that simple. If they do that, I think they'll be good. We're good in some areas. We definitely know that. But end all be all, the Atlanta Falcons need to make sure that they bring in some fresh faces, right? To go with Jeff Albrecht. Maybe he go get some guys from the Jets, bring those guys in to help teach some of the guys this new system that he's going to be implementing, right? So the Atlanta Falcons going to be strategic with the moves that they make because they have no choice. And to be honest with you, I know everybody's looking at the Kirk Cousins deal and saying that he hamstrung us, but the Atlanta Falcons counted for that money going into 2025. They already had that money allocated because the plan was to play him for 2 seasons. That's where all the guaranteed money was anyway. So for 24 and 25 was all Kirk's guaranteed money. So they had already counted for this money. So it's not like, they got caught with their pants down. It's just the fact that the process got sped up. Michael Penix is in. Now we got the most expensive backup probably in league history. But the Atlanta Falcons factored in this cap number that they was going to have this year. So this is not a surprise. Now, the fact, I think the biggest thing that really hurts the Atlanta Falcons is the performance that we put on the field last year. That's why this looks so bad, because you didn't really improve. You went all out. You brought in Matthew Judon. You brought in Justice Simmons. You really got Kirk Cousins, right? And it didn't put you over the hump. So with that being said, the Atlanta Falcons look like ass right now, right? But just look at it like this. If Kirk would have delivered what he was supposed to do, we won NFC South. We hosted a playoff game at home. Maybe advance to the division round. Just saying, maybe advance to the division round. That would have been a successful season. Now you could justify bringing in the Kirk Cousins because he did he delivered on what we wanted him to do. We was not a Super Bowl team, guys. We was not. But we would have got to the show, and all bets are off. Then you get there. That did not happen. So now going to this year, Michael Penix is firmly slated in as a starter. You got Kirk Cousins sitting out there, right? Probably nobody's going to trade for him, but Atlanta Falcons need to play hardball, right? They don't need to just cut bait. The money's already sunk anyway. So even if they do release him, it's not like, the Atlanta Falcons lost something because they already paid the guaranteed money, except the $10 million, right, that they owe when was going to be guaranteed at the new league year. So they already paid $90 million guaranteed. They owe them 10 more if they keep them past the new league year. They owe them that 10, so that'll be the $100 million. The rest of it's over. It's a sunk cost. We already paid the guy, so releasing Kirk Cousins is not really going to hurt the Falcons, right? It'll put dead cap on for this year, but they already got that money allocated, so it's not like the end of the world. What you really want them to do is try to recoup something from Kirk Cousins, a 6th-round pick, right? I'm not even asking for something higher than that. At least get a 6th-round pick, 5th-round pick for Kirk Cousins in a deal. So that would be nice, but probably won't happen. So we'll just have to see. Let's see some of these takes. Okay. I'm all for shipping Grady too if he don't want to restructure. Well, Grady don't have any more guaranteed money on his contract, so he would have to restructure. Maybe give him a small extension to lower his cap number. So I think for me personally, and I know it's crazy saying this on count somebody money, but man, Atlanta Falcons will pay Grady Jarrett 3 times. If he want to be Atlanta Falcons, he should get him a deal, right? And I think he do. I think he want to retire a Falcon. He's so big in the community. He's from Conyers, Georgia, so get Atlanta Falcons a deal if you want to stay. But they got to lower that cap number. They just have to. So I don't think that the Atlanta Falcons are going to go into this season with that cap number for Grady Jarrett. That would be insane. If we don't see production, y'all know what I said. Trade. Yeah, I mean, but to all fairness to Grady, he was coming off an injury, and this was one of his least productive years he have had. So I am tracking what you're saying about that. Most draft classes show up in 3 years. However, if Raheem can use the Rams cowboy strategy, well, the Rams had 5 awesome defensive rookies that started and made even more. Yeah, man. I wish. I mean, if you just look what the Rams was able to do this past year, they draft both of them boys for Florida State, and both of them was outstanding. Matter of fact, I could have drafted them too. Just want to throw that out there. But we did get our quarterback of the future, so I'm cool. Make Kirk retire Falcon. I ain't mad at that. I'm mad, especially if he don't want to play, because he really boils down to is Kirk Cousins got to go test the market, and he's allowed to do that. He has a no trade clause, so Atlanta Falcons can definitely give him permission to go find a team, right? But I'll tell you right now, no team is going to take that $27 million cap hit that he has, and I don't know how many teams even got that much cap space. So Atlanta Falcons will have to eat some of that salary either way. And I think they're willing to do that if they're able to get some draft capital out of it. So, like I said, the money's already spent. So, I think the Falcons will eat some of that salary. And I say eat half of it, 15 mil. That's what I say. But they can't get off Kurt, make it happen. So. So, guys, I've been talking for over an hour, but there you have it. I love talking Falcons football. We're about to get heated up here soon. Free agency about to start. We're going to have a lot more shows. Terry said teams don't want Kirk. Nope, I know. But it's some quarterback needed teams out there. You say teams don't want Kirk, but it's some quarterback needed teams, and Kirk could be a bridge quarterback if he's willing to, go somewhere to be that. Um, that's definitely, a route to think about. Cleveland Browns could have could draft a quarterback, but they could also bring in Kirk be the bridge, right? Look at the New York Giants, could be the same way. The Jets need a quarterback. The Raiders need a quarterback. So it's a couple teams out there. I know Aaron Rodgers, Sam Darnold is out there as well. Russell Wilson, Justin Fields. So Kirk Cousins is probably behind all those guys. So you're probably 100% right. But personally, for me, I don't think he's gonna be a problem in the locker room, and I don't think he's looking over his shoulder for Kirk Cousins neither. So I know a lot of people feel that way, but I don't think that he's looking over his shoulder. I just don't. Eddie says Kurt has some interesting interest like the Raiders, Jets, and yeah, like I said, yeah. So I mentioned those teams, but you gotta look at where Aaron Rodgers is going to end up. He's not going back to the Jets. We know that. Don't really see him with the Raiders neither. Maybe I doubt it, but Aaron Rodgers, man, it's interesting right around. Pittsburgh. If Pittsburgh decide to cut bait with Justin Fields and Russell Wilson, that would be, to me, out of all the spots for Aaron Rodgers, that's the team that makes the most sense. It's the Pittsburgh Steelers because they already established. They got an established head coach, and they have a already good solid defense. They just need somebody to throw the rock. So other than that, other than the Pittsburgh Steelers, I really don't see anywhere else Aaron Rodgers can go. I mean, the Raiders is they're rebuilding team. Do he really want to go to a team rebuilding? So that's what I think. But it seems like the Falcons don't want to entertain it right now. What I see. Well, it's up to Kirk Cousins. He has the no trade clause. So, the Seahawks had inquired means nothing though. Yep. Yeah. Kirk has the trade no trade clause. So it's really up to Kirk Cousins because they can't even trade him unless he signed off on it. So that's why I would say he need to go out and find a trade partner. Rodgers might just be the quarterback that tell Arthur Smith about his dry ass offense. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, it's interesting. Aaron Rodgers still want to play. He's 41, so he has to. He got to try to pull a Tom Brady and go to a team that's already built, right? So you can try to win. Raiders not that team. The Giants not that team. The Browns, maybe. The Browns got a really good defense. Maybe the Browns is that team. The Titans, no. So like I said, it's interesting to see where Kirk Cousins ended up. And then, like I said, Sam Darnold probably got more stock than all those guys the way he played last year. Even just a 1 year sample size for Sam Darnold being successful, but he did have a successful year. So, then you got guys like Daniel Jones still out there. You got the kid from Dallas, that they talking about they're not gonna bring him back. So there's some guys out there that Kurt probably behind all those guys. So we'll just have to see. But guys, interesting talk. Definitely. If you wasn't here from the beginning, please go back and listen to some of my opening comments about the combine, what I thought about it. Going into the new year for our Atlanta Falcons, all the things that they start to think about, which probably like a week away here, coming up here soon. And then also going into free agency, looking in-house first, bringing back some of our guys, solidifying our depth, and then going out and get the positions we need. Where I think the Atlanta Falcons need to bring in at least 4 new starters on defense. So, guys, that's all I have. Let me know what you think. Please share. Please hit the like button across the board. And I'll talk to you guys later. Be on the lookout for mock draft number 2 from me. Whole new list of guys. Hopefully it'll be don't change a little bit because we're getting closer and closer to where guys gonna be really ranked on a lot of scouts boards, and we get some true value on some of these guys. So that's all I have. This is your boy Ricondo. Come back at you with another video. Peace.